My lung collapsed.
Twice in a week, bro.
So about 2 weeks ago, I had a spontaneous pneumothorax. It's basically just where your lung randomly collapses. I was chilling at my house, and I started to get a lot of shortness of breath. And so I was kind of coping a little bit. I thought it was just an anxiety attack. But me, I've been vaping for years now, and something in the back of my mind kind of just knew something was wrong with my lungs. But again, the pain wasn't too bad. I mean, it was just it kind of just felt like with every exhale, like everything was coming out. And I couldn't lay on one side because it would hurt.
And I wouldn't be able to breathe, so
I would just lay to the other side. And when I would lay on the other side, I was able to breathe almost perfectly fine. So I really didn't think it was anything crazy.
But
It went on like that for maybe 2 nights of the shortness of breath kind of thing, chest tightening up kind of stuff. And I look up online like my symptoms, and it tells me
to call 911.
But again, I'm scared shitless. So, like I was saying, I don't want to go to the hospital. So I look up just shortness of breath remedies. And, one of them was like, okay, make your bathroom like a sauna and breathe in the steam, essential oils, whatever. So I was hitting everything. I was hitting everything possible to fix this at home. But literally nothing was working. So I eventually just call 911 and we go into the hospital, and they did this procedure on me where they put a tube through the side of my rib cage into the lung that was collapsed and basically used it to drain any bad fluids from the outer wall of my lung. And they made it have suction to pull the fluids. It was probably the weirdest and most painful feeling in my life because the amount of pressure I am getting from the suction, it hurts insane. They gave me painkillers before, so it wasn't terrible. It was definitely doable, but I think the pain level was maybe like an 8. And so I get admitted into the hospital on a Monday, and, I lucked out with a private room, I got a chest tube, and, just going day by day, they're tracking all the fluids coming out of my tube. They're doing chest x-rays every day, and eventually on Friday, they say, hey, your lung is pretty much good to go. We're going to pull the tube out, and you can go home. I was like, cool, that was
pretty quick, right?
right. So they pulled the tube out, no painkillers, very painful, honestly. I felt the tube, rub on my bone while they're pulling it out. But anyway, I get home, and I'm resting, and, it's over the weekend. Like I said before, I was released on a Friday. And things are going well. I'm starting to get my breathing back in order and all that stuff. And at this point, I've obviously quit vaping, which was honestly very hard to do, but, I had to. And so Sunday night rolls around, and I'm getting a little bit of shortness of breath. But I'm thinking maybe it's because I didn't do my lung exercises well enough today, just got to start up those again. And so I slept normally, and now it's Monday, and I'm chilling. And again, it's starting to get a little harder to breathe. And, I'm chilling at my desk playing games with my friends. And I'm kind of leaning forward playing, and then after a while, I kind of lean back, and I feel my chest immediately tighten. I'm going, oh shit, no way this shit's happening again. So I stand up. I'm honestly having a little bit of an anxiety attack because I did not want to go through this again. And so I'm pacing around my room, debating on whether or not I want to tell everyone to call 911 again. So I go and I step out into the kitchen where my brother is eating dinner, and I'm kind of just standing there behind him. I didn't know he knew I was here because his back was facing me. And he turns around and he goes, bro, are you good? Mind you guys, he told me that when I came up behind him and was kind of standing there, all he heard was me
Huffing and puffing, like that's all he heard.
So when he asked that, I was like, okay, if he's asking if I'm good, then I gotta go. So again, we call 911. I get transported through an ambulance, and mind you guys, when they put on the oxygen reader on my finger, for some reason I was still reading around a 96, 97 oxygen levels. So they're not thinking that my breathing is as restricted as it feels. So when I'm telling them, guys, I can't breathe,
They don't really
Have any sense of urgency.
So anyway, we ambulance ride all the way over to the hospital again. And we get to the hospital, and I'm sitting there for about an hour, and they do another chest x-ray on me. And guys, I thought I caught this early because the symptoms weren't as bad as the first time. But no, they do the x-ray, and they said, you have a total lung collapse again. Meaning I have to do a chest tube again, and now this time, surgery. So they go to do the chest tube procedure again, and they said, hey, do you want the same painkillers as last time, or do you want morphine? And I thought morphine was stronger, so I say, we'll do morphine. Just for some clarification here, guys, sometimes
morphine just
Straight up doesn't work on people.
So they put morphine through my IV, and I felt woozy for maybe 5 minutes, and they didn't even start the procedure yet. And yeah. So painkiller is now worn off, and they can't give me anything else because morphine was already in my system, and now they're about to start the procedure. Besides whatever they numbed on the surface of my skin,
I felt
Everything else.
it was the most painful shit of my life. I felt them feeding the tube in, I felt them doing the suction, I felt everything. So they finished the procedure and everything, and I think to myself, with everything going wrong on this trip, can I at least get a private room? Nope, I don't get one of those.
What kind of dumbass would think that?
So they roll me into one of the smallest rooms ever, where I have a roommate now. I am in immense pain, and the roommate
is
The most disgusting person ever.
constantly grunting, groaning,
Farting.
coughing. When he eats, he's smacking, constantly. He'd be burping, too. Just every time they brought in food, he's just
Bleh, and just rip ass and just
all this
disgusting shit. And it's one of those things where it's such a small thing, but when it's constant, it drives you fucking insane. And so I'm thinking, okay, just a couple more days and I'll get my surgery, right? Right. So he finally gets discharged, my roommate, and they bring in someone else. Again, he is the weirdest motherfucker you would ever meet. Same thing, all that grunting, groaning, smacking, farting, burping, but this time, he likes to get out of bed.
And start.
Doing squats.
And guys, they would set his bed to where if he got out, it would alarm everybody. But for some reason, he just never understood and would get out of bed and start doing squats. All I see through the silhouette of my curtains is him squatting up and down. And the second a nurse would walk in, he would jump in his bed like a little kid faking being sick. He would go and like jump and go under the covers really fast.
What are we doing?
What?
How old are we? And mind you guys, they rescheduled my surgery another 2 days. At this point, I've been in the hospital for over 5 days and everybody is driving me insane. I felt like I was in a psych ward. Down the hallway, some girl kept repeating the same quote. She just kept saying,
Come in my room, I have a chair for you. Over and
All night long.
same tone, same intervals. Like every 10 seconds she would say it in the same tone. The guy to my right, smacking his lips, farting, grunting, squatting, whatever. Every night I am just staring at the ceiling waiting for the next day to come. And if you guys have ever been to the hospital before, you know that you already don't get sleep. I mean, you have people constantly poking you and doing stuff and x-rays and all that. So anyway, I finally get my surgery, and they put me in another waiting room with all these other patients that have just gotten out of surgery. Again, curtains blocking me and my neighbor, but this lady comes back from surgery and she is just moaning. She is like, it hurts, So they give her fentanyl, they give her morphine, and they give her narcotics. She was moaning for 2 hours, by the way, until they did that. And then after that, she is moaning for another 2 hours in relief. She is moaning like this, for the next 2 hours until I get a room. Mind you guys, my pain level is at like a 10 after this surgery. I mean, everything, it feels like I got hit by a bus. But anyway, this trip was hell on earth. But I got the room I deserve now. Check it out. Private room, big TV, all that good stuff. So yeah, guys, I would quit smoking if I were you. I think that would
That would be a
be a good idea.